Hi everyone, welcome to lovely discussion today about nutrition in the postnatal period. So with me today is Pamela. Pamela's been in the fitness industry for around 19 years, so lots and lots of experience. And around 8 years ago, she also graduated with a degree in nutrition and worked extensively as a nutritionist, working with rugby teams as well. So we've got a beautiful combination here of nutrition and fitness. And then to add it all in the mix, Pamela started her family in 2014, and that ignited her, well, she called it an obsession, but I like to call it a passion. A passion for the pre and postnatal period. And 3 babies on, this passion has gone from strength to strength. So I thought it would be really good to get Pamela in here today and have a wee chat about the importance of nutrition in the postnatal period. So, you know, all of you who have had children will know that having a newborn is just the most chaotic period in your life. And things like diet, nutrition, what we put in ourselves just go straight out the window. But it is actually one of the most important things we can think about at this time. So we're going to discuss why nutrition is important, why nutrition is particularly important if you've had surgery during the birth or postnatally. So episiotomy, tears, C-sections, even blood transfusions. Okay. If Pamela's okay, we'll discuss a little bit about nutrition and breastfeeding. And then I'm hoping that Pamela will give us some really good cheats about quick, easy nutrition, because once you have children, time is always of the essence. So Pamela, over to you. I hope I've covered everything in my introduction, and you know, if you want to add anything, please do. But if we could kick off with the first question, which is, why is nutrition so important in that postnatal period?
Okay, hi Sam, thanks for the intro. In the postnatal period, if you think about it as being a recovery period, which a lot of women don't, we spend so much time preparing for baby coming. We know exactly what size they are when they're growing. We know the best travel system to buy, the best products and stuff, but women tend not to think very much about the recovery period after they have their baby. And no matter how you birth your baby, that is a recovery period. So if you think about if you had any other kind of medical interventions, operations or anything, and the doctor advised you that there's a recovery period here, we're more than likely to listen to the doctor or the surgeon. But when we're told that when we have babies, we tend to kind of whoosh, it all kind of goes over our head because we've got this little baby that we need to look after. But it's really important for mums to recover in this period, because throughout your pregnancy, your body completely changes. And throughout your labour and your birth, no matter how you've birthed your baby, you lose a lot of blood. We lose a lot of energy. Your sleeping patterns are all over the place. If you're even getting any sleep, that's a good start. That in turn plays havoc with your hormones, combined with being postnatal, possibly breastfeeding. Your hormones are like all over the place. And one of the ways that we can improve the hormone balance is by looking after ourselves in a nutritional capacity. So lots of vitamins, lots of minerals, lots of energy foods that we need to include. If we talk about the blood loss initially, you'll lose iron. So making sure that you eat plenty of foods that are rich in iron to make sure you've got lots circulating, ensuring that you're hydrated. This is one of the things. So anybody that knows me knows that that's one of the first things that I'll tell people. So your blood is made up of a lot of water. So we need to take water into our body to make sure we're hydrated, and that's one of the main reasons we need it. Making sure that you're having iron circulating around the body, because that's going to keep your energy systems up, which we desperately need when we have children, because due to the sleep. We'll talk about that in a wee minute. The lack of sleep, the adrenaline that's going, the kind of stress and everything of having that little baby take over everything in your life. We really need to make sure that your iron levels are up, because you need the energy to cope with all that as well. So sleeping, when we have that lack of sleep or in broken sleep, which happens a lot, and people always say sleep when baby sleeps, but we never do, or rarely do. Please do. That increases certain stress hormones in the body as well. It makes you crave certain foods, and generally the foods that we crave are the foods that we kind of want to step back from as much as we can. Inflammation is occurring in the body as well, especially if you have had the medical intervention, if you've had the C-section or you've had a episiotomy or blood transfusion or anything like that. You will have a level of inflammation in the body, and what you eat can either increase that inflammation, or it can help to lower the inflammation, and we're obviously wanting to lower that inflammation.
Yeah.
So we're wanting to get on the right track as soon as we can after having babies, for energy levels, improved sleeping, providing your energy and milk production, because a lot of women have the kind of fear that they're not producing enough milk to feed their baby as well. So if you're making sure that you're eating lots of calorie dense foods and healthy calorie dense foods, then that should help. One of the other things that we want to think about is our bowel movements, that the fear of the first one after having your baby. We just need to make sure that we're having plenty of foods to help our bowel health as well, because if we start to suffer from things like constipation, that can really have an effect on your gut health and your mental health and stuff as well. So the comfort that you might be in after having your baby as well. So lots of fibre for that.
And that's a biggie after having a C-section, you know.
Yeah.
The painkillers.
Yep, huge. And also if you're on iron supplements, because they can make you quite constipated as well. So I think generally they maybe stop them just before you have your baby, if I'm right. I've not personally been on them, but I think if you are, they tend to stop them as you're coming up to having your baby. But if you're not, if you're still taking them, they generally cause a lot of discomfort in the downstairs area, unfortunately.
And especially if, you know, you're on iron supplements and your baby comes earlier than expected, you know.
Yes.
It's all very well saying stop your iron at 38 weeks, but, you know, we know that not everyone falls into that perfect window of a 40 week.
Yeah. So plenty of water, because water is really, really important for to help with waste elimination from the body, detox in the body, and plenty of fibre in food as well. Doing things like, if you're having pasta, swap it for wholemeal pasta, try brown rice, lots of fruit, lots of veg, and trying to make sure that your fibre levels are up nice and high to help.
Perfect. Yeah. So you talked a little bit, or mentioned the sort of C-section, episiotomy, tear. So, and this word inflammation, which is a bit of a buzzword at the moment. What do we need to take into account if we have got a healing process going on post birth? And, you know, everyone will be healing in some respect, but in terms of like post surgery, I guess is what I'm really meaning.
Yeah, well, you're right, everybody goes through a healing process. Even if people have delivered vaginally, they still have the placentas come away from the uterine wall, so they are left with a wound there to heal. So this does affect women who have given birth vaginally. But if we're talking a wee bit more about the surgery, so you've had the scar there, and you've maybe got episiotomy as well. So you want to make sure that it's not going to get infected. So making sure that you're just keeping it nice and clean and stuff as well. Nutrition wise, again, we want to make sure that you're having plenty of a vast array of vitamins. So if we think about vitamin C, that helps to repair all the skin cells and stuff in the body. So making sure that we're having that. I do quite often advise women, if they've been taking a vitamin supplement throughout pregnancy, just to keep that going in the postnatal period. and not as a substitute for food, but it means that it's maybe going to top up what you are getting through your food. So as we know, as you've said, everything goes out the window. You're picking up things from the takeaway, you're getting deliveries, and you might not be thinking about how much fruit and veg that you've actually eaten that day. So if you're taking a supplement, it can just kind of top up the amount that you're having. So for wound healing, definitely increasing your vitamin C, and again your fibre, because if you're having any type of difficulty with bowel movements, that's going to put strain on your scar from either the C-section or the episiotomy. So we want is everything to kind of transmit. This is the bowel I'm doing. Transmit easily to eliminate everything. So water, fibre, vitamin C will all help along with scar.
What's some good sources of vitamin C?
Vitamin C, everybody automatically thinks of oranges, but actually lots of berries. So the things that are kind of deep red and purple, and kiwis as well, that are really good for vitamin C. So rather than thinking about, oh, I'll have a glass of orange juice, because then you're having a lot of sugar, which we want to kind of reduce when it comes to inflammation. I'll talk about that in a wee second. Try and have the actual fruit. So thinking about strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, anything that's that kind of deep, nice colour, and kiwis as well are really good for vitamin C. Great. Yeah. So yeah.
And could you have these in dried form, or would you recommend fresh?
I would recommend fresh, as fresh as you can. Dried form is fine, but they tend to be quite a concentrated amount of sugar. So if you're having something like dried apricots, I could easily eat 10 of those, but I wouldn't eat 10 apricots. You get what I mean? So the kind of the balance there is a wee bit off. So trying to have it fresh. Dry is fine, but kind of every maybe once in a while, focus more on the fresh if possible. Okay. Yeah.
Let's revisit that topic of sugar and inflammation.
Yay! Sugar is the thing that we go for when we're stressed, and having a new baby can be stressful. It's blissful and stressful. You've got the kind of the two working against each other, and you've got that lack of sleep. So when we think of, or the broken sleep, when we have that, your stress level hormones, so your cortisol and adrenaline levels increase, and they tend to make us crave foods, and it's like I need this now. So you reach in for, if you've got the chocolate bars in the fridge or the sweets and stuff like that. And when we take in the processed sugar, so refined sugar, the ones that are added into foods, we are increasing that inflammation level in the body as well. So your liver has to work overtime to get everything kind of detoxed as such and move through the system. So trying to minimise the amount of those type of foods that you're having is ideal in the postnatal period, just reducing that inflammation.
Perfect. And presumably then that links in with what you're saying about hormones. So if we are, because obviously our hormones go up and down through the whole, pregnancy and then labour journey, and then postnatally they can take a while to settle.
Yeah.
So with talking about sugar, I'm presuming that the sugar would then impede that ability for the hormones to try and settle back down.
Yes, because it'll your blood insulin levels, which has a huge effect on all the other hormones in the body.
Right.
So when your blood insulin levels start to kind of, as soon as you've had that sugar, those sweets, so the kind of refined sugars, your insulin levels will increase, and then your body has to work harder at bringing it back down, and then eventually because you're eating too much of it as such, it's called insulin resistance. So the hormone basically doesn't work in the body anymore, doesn't do the job that it's supposed to do. So then we end up with type 2 diabetes. So we want to try and, it's all about, if you think of a preventative measure, a lot of the time people might not think, oh, well, that won't affect me because I'm healthy or I'm young or whatever, but it can have a huge effect. So trying to prevent things like this from happening are much more effective than treating them when they have actually happened.
Proactive rather than reactive.
That's a completely other topic, I think.
Yes.
Oh, I could talk about that all day.
And let's talk about nutrition and breastfeeding.
Yeah. So again, breastfeeding, it can bring stresses. Most women, I think, tend to go through a stressful period when they're trying to establish breastfeeding. They're doubtful on, am I doing this right, or am I producing enough for my baby? Am I feeding them enough? And again, it's about taking that time to just sit on the couch for hours on end. That's quite a normal thing. The baby you're going to feed all the time initially, because it's got such a small stomach. So mums just to kind of try and just go with the flow and try and keep as relaxed as you can, because when you're increasing the stress, then that's those stress hormones again making you crave the sugar. So it's a bit like a vicious cycle. So the stress increases these hormones that make us want the sugar foods, and then inflammation and stuff. So trying to decrease that. When we're thinking about what we want to be eating and drinking when we're breastfeeding, number one is definitely hydration. So again, water, plenty of water. So that's going to do the help the constipation side of things, and it's also going to help breastfeeding, because when you're dehydrated, you're not producing, you've not basically got the water to feed the baby. So I always say to mums, especially in those first kind of 6 weeks or so, every time you feed a baby, just make sure you're having a drink.
Yeah.
So have a bottle of water there that you refill each day or each hour of the day, and every time you're feeding your baby, drink water, because if you think that water, milk, is leaving the body and it's not getting replaced, so you need to replace what's coming out.
Yes.
So increasing the water intake, definitely. Your caffeine intake should stay low as you're breastfeeding, as well as when you're pregnant. I think it's I can't remember the exact milligrams, but I think it's 2 cups of coffee or 4 cups of caffeinated tea. I think that's the current recommendations for that. Moving on to decaf or some herbal teas or stuff, if you tend to drink a lot. If you've got lots of visitors, you might be drinking lots of tea.
Yes.
So
yeah.
and enjoy
I think,
those warm cups.
It's an important sign to look out for in your baby. If they start getting restless, are you drinking too much caffeine?
That can, so if you're trying to feed your baby and they're getting a bit kind of restless, or they're not maybe latching properly, or you think there's something just not quite right here, it might be because they're finding it difficult to actually get the milk out if you're dehydrated. So water's definitely the way to go for that.
Right.
Calorie wise, we need to take in more calories for breastfeeding than what you did when you were pregnant, because you're providing nourishment for your baby and for you. So people think, I need to eat because I'm breastfeeding, so it's for the baby, but it's for the mum as well. We forget the mum needs nourishment, as does the baby need nourishment. So I always say to try and include things that are quite calorie dense but healthy. So things like, if you've not got any nut allergy, obviously, nuts like peanuts or peanut butter, almonds or almond butter, cashew nuts, Brazil nuts, pecans, things like that, just like once a day. And just a small amount. So I think the recommendation for the Brazil nuts is something like 7 Brazil nuts, 12 almonds, and stuff like that. So try not to have a big handful and not to be having them like 3 or 4 times a day. So thinking about things like that, maybe oatcakes and hummus are good things to have, like kind of snacky food. So you might find you might need to snack a wee bit more when you're breastfeeding, especially in those initial days, to establish your milk supply. So crackers and hummus, crackers and peanut butter, fruits like apples. I'm a big fan of peanut butter. You'll get the gist of this. Apple slices dipped in peanut butter. It's one of my favourite things. Avocado, eggs, things that are quite high in protein, because we need that protein for your scar tissue formation and stuff as well, for the back to the scar, the healing.
Yeah.
And that's what I forgot, protein. Very important. So making sure that you're keeping your snacks up and keeping them quite healthy, as opposed to the grabbing the chocolate and sweets and crisps if we can help it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's go on to seeing if we can find some good treats for quick, easy, nutritional options.
Oh, yes.
Now, you've obviously mentioned a couple, like peanut butter. I can imagine what your cupboards look like.
Even my dad eats it off a spoon now.
But any other kind of go-to quick, easy meals, things which aren't time laborious?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I would definitely say is something like stir fries, because they are really quick to prepare and quick to cook. You can even buy pre-cooked sliced vegetables, or you can buy them frozen, and you can whip up a meal in like 10-15 minutes with that. So putting in just like some garlic, some chili, some ginger. Ginger's really good for healing as well, as is garlic. So putting them in and adding a little bit of a soy sauce to it. You can add some honey, you could add some chili sauce or whatever in as well, and then just basically stir frying your whatever type of, if you're having meat in it, and then you can pile the veg into stir fry. So that's a really good one to do because it's quick. Other things would be maybe using your slow cooker. So you could prepare things at night, and then you can chuck it on the slow cooker during the day, like in the next morning, and then you don't actually have to stand and do everything. So it's just the chopping of the veg, and you can basically put it all in. So a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I think I've got one of them in my cupboard somewhere. So if you have, then it's the
Picked it up from Aldi's last year, didn't I?
Yes. So slow cooker is good because you can think about it just being really nourishing. If you're following a kind of general recipe, I would recommend just adding less liquid into it, keeping the lid on, because otherwise it'll get quite watery. A lot of people say, oh, but I just find my meals in the slow cooker are really watery. Right. Just keep the lid on, but just add much less liquid. And then if you can, keep checking it, and if you need more, you can just add it in.
And I think as an aside, there's a really good Facebook group for slow cooker recipes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there for.
Yeah, and there's so many. You just need to look on the internet like for 10 seconds, and you get so many different recipes and stuff. I've got lots of them on my Facebook pages as well, that people can try, because I use my slow cooker. I've got 4 slow cookers. Yeah.
What about things like omega-rich foods?
Omega-rich foods. So we're thinking of your oily fish, your salmon, your tuna, not tin tuna. I know that some people tend not to eat oily fish. So if you don't, trying to take in what we call linseed or flax seeds.
Yeah.
So you can add that into porridge or smoothies, or you can sprinkle it on top of any other foods that you're having. So basically, it's like a little pouch, and it's called milled linseed, but it's also known as flaxseed as well. So the two names are both used, and trying to get it milled so it's all been bashed down for you, as opposed to the little golden seeds.
Yeah.
Because our body can't break down the skin of the seeds. So we need to have it milled to get that omega-3.
Ah, okay.
So if you have the seeds on its own, it's good for fibre.
Yeah.
But if you want the omega-3s, we need to grind it down.
Right.
So you can buy, I get mine from like Aldi and Lidl, just and it's in the breakfast area. So just a little pouch, and it's milled linseed with kind of berries and stuff in it as well.
I can get one from my cupboard. One moment.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So yeah, that's a good source of omega-3, as well as
this one is the flax seed one. It's not got the linseed in it.
Yeah.
But it's got so that's flax, sunflower, pumpkin, sesame, and
perfect. Yeah, that's great. So you can add that into. We have that in our porridge every morning. We normally have porridge about 4 or 5 mornings a week, and we always add that in. Also, chia seeds or chia seeds, depending on how people pronounce them. Great for fibre, and good for omegas as well.
Yes, but not too many, because they can expand.
Yes. Soak them first is ideal. So you can soak your chia seeds in some water first. You only need to do it for 10 minutes or so. It looks a wee bit like frog spawn. It looks a wee bit gelatinous, not appetizing, but once you kind of mix it in, you're kind of unaware. You're unaware of that. And then because what they do is they go in and they'll absorb all the water. which will dehydrate you a wee bit more as well. So trying to make sure you're still taking plenty of water. But if you're already giving them water beforehand, then they shouldn't expand as much when they've been digested.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I find that kind of thing very easy to put on breakfast cereals, salads.
Yep.
Mix them into yogurts,
really easy.
even stick them in curry.
Yogurt. Yeah, there's a good idea. Yogurt. I've never put it like in yogurt before. It's a good idea.
But why is omega so important?
It's for the lowering the inflammation levels again, as well as brain health and brain function. So again, this is a kind of preventative for when we're coming into our later years,
right.
that it keeps our brain functioning properly. And we all know as mums, we get that kind of brain fog type, and I think we just have it all the time. Apparently, people tell me their kids in their 30s and still have it. So I'm like, oh, please no. But yeah, it's good for our brain developments, especially for getting older, and kids' brain development, because we know kids' brains are just like sponges. They just take everything in, so you want them to be as optimal as possible. Good for lowering inflammation levels as well, so good for the wound healing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Pamela, I think we've covered a lot of things.
Sorry, another hack I was going to say was soup.
Soup
is a great thing to make, and again, you can just chuck it on the slow cooker and have it. Blend it up. Soup is great because if you think of everything that goes in, and it all just stays in, so all the carrots, the potatoes, the leeks, all that, so all the veg goes in and it stays there, so it's really nourishing. It's really, really good. So if you've got that, just put it in, batch it into like containers or bags and put it into your freezer, and you can cook it from frozen as well.
Yeah. I mean, a great way of getting several of your 5 a day.
Easy.
Instantly.
Yeah. So
and I think that even, they say now it's not, I think it's 7 a day or something.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to increase it to 10.
Right.
Yeah, so it has increased to 7. Yeah, but if you find you don't eat a lot of vegetables, that's a great way to get your veg in. Something else that's really good for your lower inflammation and for your gut bacteria health is bone broth, or what's that? Bone broth is the buzzword for it, or homemade stock. So having a chicken carcass and making your own stock with some vegetables and stuff like that is great. Again, you can get loads of recipes for that on the internet, so that's really good.
Yes, and probably not as difficult as it sounds. For someone like me,
not.
I just feel like, that's too complicated. But
no, we roast a chicken every week, and we make stock. It's my husband that makes it. Yeah, get the other half to be doing the cooking as well. That's my top tip, actually. Get the other one to do the cooking. We basically put it in a big pan and put it in the oven, just plenty of water, keep topping up the water, and there's maybe whatever peelings are left over, like the carrot peelings and stuff like that all goes in. We try to reduce our food waste and stuff as much as possible, so all that gets put in the stock, and yeah, it just goes in the freezer, and that gets used every week to make soup. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the good old recipes.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with it in those days. Nothing wrong with it now.
Pamela, thank you so much for talking to me today and sharing some of your knowledge.
Hopefully it helped.
Pamela can be found at her Facebook page, Flaunt It Fitness. And you've got a website as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's flauntitfitnessuk.com.
Yeah, and she's based in Cambuslang in Glasgow, and then within her Flaunt It Fitness umbrella, she runs pre and postnatal classes. There's a Fit Mums and Bumps class, and Pamela does her Core Essentials class, which is a rehab class for postnatal ladies. You can contact Pamela directly if you're interested in learning more and working out with Pamela. But thank you again very much for coming along today. And I could talk about this forever, I think.
Yeah. Yes. So could I.
So maybe we'll do another one about nutrition and pregnancy. Or...
We could. Yes, we will. We'll make plans. I'll need to come and see you for some soft tissue therapy, and we can discuss it then. That's my excuse for getting it.
Right, Pamela, look after yourself, and speak soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.